Glass Onion. That's right, folks. Seconds after Rian Johnson released Knives Out to cinemas, Netflix was like, actually, we're desperate for content, so what if we paid you way more money than we're making to give us two more of these? Johnson's like, sure, that's a good paycheck. I'll make them because they're good and they're awesome. And then 3 years later, we get Glass Onion. Weird story. Story as old as time. Acclaimed directors coming to streaming. But not this time. This time, Netflix was like, oh man, we could actually get awards noms for this. Maybe we should put it in cinemas for a freaking week. Not the week before it comes to streaming. Weeks out before it comes to streaming, because why not? Get it out there like in theaters a month before streaming so people remember it, but then they forget about it. Then they're just pleasantly surprised it's back. I could spend hours talking about that whole dynamic. The idea of Netflix pumping something onto streaming after a theatrical release. A 7-day theatrical release, which is such bullshit for a story like this. It's upsetting and it kills me. And that is the juxtaposition of this show, of this series' existence, of Glass Onion existing. It reminds me that cinema is kind of dead. We are killing it. And it sucks, but also, this film is incredible, and it reminds me, cinema's still alive. What am I complaining about? I guess I'm complaining about a really good movie being dumped onto streaming because nobody goes to the movies anymore. And here's the thing, we'll get into the review in a second. I have to say this because this is the most important thing I'm going to be saying about this entire film. The theater I saw this in was a full audience, a packed cinema, people excited to see this. Two things happened. One, the Netflix logo came up and people were like, this is a Netflix movie? Why is it in a theater? Which is the worst sentence I've ever heard in my life. Somebody actually said that. I almost dry heaved. I was like, why is Netflix doing this when they could have just given it a theatrical run? But that doesn't matter. The other thing that happened was there was a visceral experience where everyone in the audience was watching something, following it along in real time, reacting to events in a way you don't see anymore. And I'm not talking about like a big franchise blockbuster where everyone's like, oh my goodness, it's Kylo Ren, oh my goodness, it's Namor. I mean, like, wow. An actual story is unfolding that an entire audience is reacting to in real time. That's not explicitly a comedy. It's just happening and people are invested. I'm like, that is such a cool experience to see that you're not going to get after this week because they're just going to put it on streaming. And that sucks more than anything. So I recommend, if it's near you, run out to see Glass Onion because it's really good. Here's the thing. Rian Johnson made a really good film with Knives Out. A great script, a tight story. Then he was given more money. And he's like, oh, I'm going to play with it. I love Rian Johnson. I think he's one of our best filmmakers working today. In a day where we have digital camera work, it is hard to make something look special and uniquely of the digital era. And I think Johnson is one of those guys that perfectly utilizes the utility belt he is given. Where it's like, I'm using a digital camera. Okay, I know how to move that. I know how to light that. I know how to frame that. And he does it perfectly. This looks like a real movie, and it just makes me more sad that it's just going to be seen on a small screen for a bunch of people, when it's like, wow, look at the way this actually moves, and it goes out of focus, and you're like, this is visually pleasing. No one's going to see it on the theater, and that kind of sucks. But what is the story of Glass Onion? Well, Benoit Blanc, I forget his name, Daniel Craig, who is wearing the sexiest outfits ever in this movie, is gifted this device that takes him on this journey that leads him to this billionaire's island where there's a murder that occurs. And I'm not going to say anything else about the plot majorly because it is kind of clever. Now, I talked heavily about Knives Out when it came out. I think it was one of my favorite films of the year when it came out. And a lot of that had to do with just like a tight script that Johnson crafted. Now, this script, I don't think it's as tight, but I think there's more ideas being explored, a clear vision that is coming through, and a lot more chances being taken. Look, there's more money involved here. We can get bigger scaled. We can try new visual effects. We can try to like make bigger sets and scenes, have actual depth going on. That's not just like an enclosed space. Compared to the first one, this is a wide open field, which is so weird to say. The first movie is a tight-knit community. It's like this family in like this big manor. This one is you're in an island. You're on an island that is a paradise for the parody of a man who is so apparent in popular culture today that it's kind of obvious. And that's another thing I love about this film, and I'm so proud of Johnson for doing. It's very of 2022. The character Edward Norton plays, who is the billionaire of the piece, feels very much like not even cheap shots being taken at a certain billionaire today, but just this is how we'd react to them if they did these stupid things that they do. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. I can buy all of that. Acting is superb. I don't know if I have any standout favorites. It's just nice to see a bunch of these talented people acting, you know? Daniel Craig doesn't look like he's having more fun in his life. This is the role for him where he's like, I get to do an accent, I get to wear really cute clothes, and I can just have fun. I'm there. It's the opposite of James Bond, where it actually feels like he wants to be in the movie and have fun. Dave Bautista, again, a guy who gets kind of put in this position where it's like he's big, he's bulky, he's the bruiser. He actually knows how to act, and that's not something a lot of people give him credit for. He put the time in to learn the craft, and it really shows in this. Again, Catherine Hahn, Kate Hudson, killer in this. A great combination of just like, Kate Hudson, I don't know where she has been. I feel like she's been just there, but off to the sidelines a little bit, and we haven't really been talking about her much, but oh, she's so good in this, so fun in this, has an amazing story to tell, very cool. Jessica Henwick, again, a really talented young actor coming up to do something fun. Everybody's doing great. Leslie Odom's doing great. Edward Norton's doing great. No complaints. Everyone's having fun. And there's a lot of cameos that appear in this movie. I'm not going to spoil them for you, but let's just say Rian Johnson probably directed two legendary people of the screen and off screen in their final performances. And you're like, how did that come about? Look, I get the other ones, but I'm like, how did you get those people in here? I guess you're just really good. And when you're a friendly guy in Hollywood, you can go a long way. And that's awesome to say, because Rian Johnson deserves this. This is like his reward for just putting up with the bullshit he got for a perfect movie in The Last Jedi, where he is just now like, okay, murder mystery on a big billionaire island where there's a bunch of dumbasses. There you go, political stuff of today. I'm going to make it fun and weird, and it worked. This cast is wearing some incredible clothing. Costume design is incredible. The story is impressive. These stand out to me, and it's weird to say stand out because I know she is a talented person in her own right, or in their own right. Is Janelle Monáe, it doesn't matter. I'll just say, use the pronouns they, because they rock. Janelle Monáe is fantastic in this, giving a stellar performance in a lot more variety than you're expecting for what this story could be. And that's another thing I love. When you tell a good story that has this kind of narrative web that it's weaving, making it flow perfectly is hard to the untrained eye. Like, you have to make it look seamless, or it's going to collapse in on itself. This is how you do it. Rian Johnson once again proves to all of us he is a filmmaker and he's a storyteller, and he knows how to make these things look good and act great and just feel like a real movie. It feels like the mid-budget movie would be back if this got a theatrical run. It's a shame it won't get one, but I'm just going to say, I saw a theater full of people having a great time and experiencing things as a collective, and that's a cool thing to see. This is what I want from movies again. You know, between this and the Banshees of Inisherin and Tar and the Fablemans, I'm like, we are in a good era of movies, and I don't even think we should complain. Like, this is great. Just leave it in theaters and then dump it on Netflix in April or something, you know? Don't do this. Don't do what you're doing now. Johnson doesn't deserve it. The cast doesn't deserve this. They deserve a theatrical run. But if not, and you have to watch Glass Onion at home, it is a cut above everything else this company produces. And that in itself should be rewarded. Because, does Netflix put out some stuff. So, Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery that I'm not going to be calling it that ever again. It's just Glass Onion. I'm going to give an 8 out of 10. Now, thank you guys for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And as always, I will catch you in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck.